Hi, everybody. Welcome to English Digest. I'm Tom.
Hi, I'm Stephanie.
And we're going to kick off the month of June with our history unit. And we're talking about something called a dream catcher. Do you know what a dream catcher is, Stephanie?
I do. I own a pair of earrings that are shaped like dream catchers, and a friend of mine gave them to me. Oh, gosh, it's been about 20 years ago.
So we're going to talk about them now. Dream catchers, the legend of a Native American tradition. Let's get to it. Let's read through the entire contents of our lesson, and then we'll be back to discuss it. Above an infant's cradle, a gentle breeze floats through feathers hanging from a circular hoop, decorated to look like a spider's web. This is a dream catcher, a distinctive Native American object. In Ojibwe tradition, the night air is filled with both good and bad dreams, and babies can't defend themselves against nightmares. Dream catchers are intended to filter out bad dreams and let good ones pass through. Nightmares are trapped in the dream catcher until they dissolve in the morning sun. Pleasant dreams, however, reach the child's subconscious. According to legend, Asibikashi, or Spider Woman, was the Ojibwe tribe's spiritual protector. As the Ojibwe nation expanded, it became difficult for Spider Woman to watch over everyone. Therefore, she directed the tribe's women to weave dream catchers to shield babies from bad dreams. Dream catchers are now a symbol of unity among various Native American tribes. Beginning in the 1960s, though, non-native people began to use them as mere decorations or knickknacks. However, some Native Americans consider this to be an offensive misrepresentation of a sacred object. So, how can you tell an authentic dream catcher from a mass-produced one? A traditional dream catcher uses only natural materials like willow bark and cotton string. The string will usually be connected to the hoop in 8 places, representing Spider Woman's 8 legs. Its feathers stand for the breath of life, and it may have beads to symbolize spiders, the web weavers themselves. Take some time to appreciate this special and unique Native American craft while respecting its origins. Sweet dreams!
Okay, guys, we're going to look at the title first. Dream catchers, that's what we're looking at today. And you'll often see this colon after a title, so dream catchers, colon. And then the words following that are kind of a definition or description of what you might find in this piece of writing. So what are dream catchers? Well, our writer says the legend of a Native American tradition. We're going to be telling you about dream catchers and the legend behind them. A legend here just means a very old traditional story. Usually it's passed down through generations over time. It isn't always authentic or true or proven to be true, but a lot of people believe many parts of a legend. We also use legend to talk about someone who is a master at what they do and probably is world famous, like Elvis Presley was a legend of rock and roll, or Michael Jackson. He's a legend of pop music, someone who's going to be remembered a long time. But here, of course, we're talking about an old traditional story. And this legend comes from Native Americans. It started there, and we're going to tell you more about it.
Okay, and of course, Native Americans are sometimes referred to as American Indians. It depends on who you're talking to. Some people find that term offensive. A lot of Native Americans themselves don't mind the term, but you probably should ask first.
Ask them. I was saying this the other day, I find it funny that a lot of white people like to tell minorities what they should be called. So if you ask the person themselves, that's probably the best thing. But we had an American Indian girl living with me growing up. She was Navajo, and she liked to be called an Indian. So there you go.
There you go. Okay, so again, this is a Native American tradition, and it's all about dream catchers. And here's kind of the situation you might see if a dream catcher is being used properly. Above an infant's cradle, a gentle breeze floats through feathers hanging from a circular hoop decorated to look like a spider's web. So, of course, this is above an infant's cradle. Remember, the cradle is the small bed in which a baby sleeps, or in this case, it's an infant. An infant basically is a baby. It's a small child, and I don't suppose this infant has learned how to walk yet.
No, usually we use infant to talk about a baby who is not yet walking. Once they start walking, we'll call them toddlers. But I also wanted to mention a cradle must rock back and forth. There are also other kinds of beds for infants, but a cradle does rock back and forth, which kind of helps them go to sleep. They like that moving motion.
Yes, indeed. It does help babies sleep if you move them back and forth in the cradle. My daughter didn't really like that. She liked being rocked to sleep in either her mother or father's arms.
Of course.
The cradle is much easier, though. But in this particular case, we've got a baby, an infant, sleeping in the cradle, and then there's a gentle breeze. The wind is kind of gently flowing through the house there. The air is going through the feathers that are hanging from a circular hoop. A hoop is like a circle, like you might see elderly women in local parks spinning hula hoops around their hips there to exercise. So these are circular hoops that are decorated to look like a spider's web. So you've got the hoop, and then you've got some feathers that are attached to that hoop.
Now, this is a dream catcher. So what we just described is a dream catcher. And we're saying it's a distinctive Native American object. So it comes from American Indians or Native Americans right there in North America. So distinctive is one of our vocabulary words. Usually if you say something is distinctive, it's an adjective. You're saying it has some characteristics of one particular thing or person. And when you see those characteristics, you can identify it very quickly. So I could say, Tom's size is very distinctive in Taiwan, especially. He's very tall, he's a big guy, and you can't miss him. So he has a distinctive shape. So when he's outside, if I run into him, I know it's Tom immediately. So distinctive. Or maybe you have a very distinctive accent. I think it's pretty obvious if a foreigner is speaking Mandarin, we have a distinctive accent. We don't sound like native speakers. We have our own accent. So here we've got the stream catcher, and it's very much an object that looks like it came from a particular part of the world, and like we just said, from North America.
Another word for distinctive would be unique or special. Like here in Taiwan, having outdoor barbecues is a distinctive tradition in Taiwan for Mid-Autumn Festival. I don't think that is done in any other part of the world except for Taiwan here. That's a distinctive tradition. And yes, indeed, it's distinctive of Native Americans. Now, in Ojibwe tradition, the night air is filled with both good and bad dreams, and babies can't defend themselves against nightmares. So, of course, we've got lots of tribes in North America. The Ojibwe, I believe, are a tribe that live around one of the Great Lakes, around Lake Superior. So, in their tradition, they believe that the night air is filled with good and bad dreams both. They're kind of blowing around at night. And babies, of course, can't defend themselves against nightmares. Those are the bad ones, of course. I don't think anybody likes to have bad dreams. A nightmare, of course, is a bad dream.
It could be a bad dream. We also use the word nightmare to describe something that's pretty awful. And sometimes we use it to talk about an unpleasant experience as a joke. For example, I had a date last night and it was a nightmare. Or I took the test last month and it was a nightmare. It was very difficult. So here we're talking about really bad dreams. And these little tiny babies, they're infants, remember, they can't protect themselves against nightmares. So these dream catchers are intended or supposed to filter out bad dreams and let good ones pass through and block the bad ones, which are called nightmares. So we filter things out by keeping some things in and letting other things through. We often filter our water, correct? To keep out the bad stuff and let the pure water remain. So, yeah, these dream catchers, that's what they're for. That's their purpose. They're intended to keep those bad dreams or nightmares away from those tiny babies.
And then they'll let the good ones pass through, just like your water filter. They'll filter out the bad things and let the good water pass through. And nightmares are trapped in the dream catcher until they dissolve in the morning sun. To dissolve just means you are surrounded by a larger amount of something like air or water. Sometimes, of course, you can dissolve things in water, like salt. You can dissolve salt in water to have salty water.
Yeah, so the salt starts out as a solid material, and then if you add water, that salt or sugar actually kind of disappears into the liquid. That's dissolve, but dissolve also could mean for something to disappear or deteriorate. So these nightmares are trapped in the dream catcher until they dissolve in the morning sun. It's like the sun hits them and they kind of just disappear. So pleasant dreams, however, reach the child's subconscious. So they stay in the child's mind, whereas the nightmares are kept out of that little baby's mind, which is great.
Pretty cool. Okay, that brings us to the midway point in our explanation. It's time now to let our Chinese teacher talk to you for a few seconds.
大家好 ，Did you sleep well last night？ 我是 Patrick 老师。昨天晚上睡得好吗？睡眠中做了美梦还是噩梦？这样的开场问候有别以往，大家可能会觉得有点奇怪。但是因为我们今天克漏字测验文章的主题跟梦有关，所以才这样开头。美洲原住民有项传统，他们为了让小宝宝一夜好眠，会制作捕梦网，帮小朋友拦截噩梦。捕梦网的英文就是 Dream Catcher。好，我们现在了解文章脉络之后，一起来解题吧。正式解题之前，老师要提醒各位同学，不论你答题有多匆忙，处理克漏字的时候，一定不可以只看挖空出题的那个句子，空格所在的前一句后一句都要看，因为过去学测有一些题目，除了正确答案以外，其他的诱答选项放入空格中，也一样没有文法错，甚至于句子文意也都还是通顺的，但就是会造成上下文不连贯，所以做克漏字的题型，务必还是要保留时间看前后文。请看到第一题空格所在的前一个句子 Babies can defend themselves 这个句子，小宝宝没有办法保护自己不做噩梦。题干的句子 Dream catchers are intended to 空格 bad dreams and let good ones pass through。 Be intended to 的意思是用来做什么？我们看第一题4个选项分别是什么意思，来决定选哪个答案。 A. Filter out 滤除过滤， B. Lay out 布置安排， C. Give off 发出发散， D. Put off 延迟拖延。空格本句说明捕梦网的用途，本句后半部指出 Let good ones pass through 让美梦通过。空格下一句接着补充 Nightmares are trapped in the dream catcher 噩梦被困在捕梦网中，表示捕梦网的目的是滤除噩梦，只留下美梦，所以答案我们选 A Filter out。 题干这边 Dream catchers are intended to 后面有个空格，那个空格我们在第一题的时候答案是选 Filter out A 的 Filter out。 老师这边呢想要另外再补充Be intended to 的用法。老师给大家一个例句 Safety belts are intended to hold individuals in their seats, thus prevent or reduce passenger injury in a car accident。 好，请同学注意哦，这个句子的意思是安全带是用来把人固定在座椅上，因此避免或降低乘客在车祸中可能受到的伤害，所以 be intended to 就是用来做什么。
We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Okay, welcome back. Let's continue to talk about dream catchers. They are a legend of a Native American tradition. Remember, they are based on the spider woman, which we'll get to here. It's got feathers, it's got a hoop, and you hang it above the baby's cradle. And that dream catcher filters out bad dreams and lets the good dreams pass on down to the cute little baby sleeping there. And that good dream, of course, will reach the child's subconscious, which is what we think in our minds that we don't let out on the surface, basically, our subconscious. Okay. And according to legend here in the next paragraph, it says, Asibi Kashi, or Spider Woman, was the Ojibwe tribe's spiritual protector. Forgive me there if any native members of the Ojibwe tribe are listening, or is listening, because I probably did not pronounce that word quite correctly, but that's my best guess here, Asibi Kashi, and that person is known as Spider Woman, and she was, and I suspect still is, the tribe's spiritual protector. Spiritual means having to do with the spirit, and sometimes it does refer to religion.
Here, though, I think they're referring to someone's soul or spirit inside instead of just your physical body on the outside. So, yeah, this particular woman's pretty important in the Ojibwe tribe because she's supposed to protect the tribe's spiritual well-being. Now, you might guess that as the Ojibwe nation grew or expanded, it became difficult for Spider Woman to watch over everyone. Who has time? There are too many people. So this was something the tribe came up with to better protect everyone's spirits and spiritual well-being. Therefore, it says she directed the tribe's women to weave dream catchers to shield babies from bad dreams. So this was the solution that the Spider Woman thought up or came up with. She thought, I can't protect everyone at the same time. So what can I do? Well, she then went to the tribe's women and said, hey, I need you to weave dream catchers to shield our babies from bad dreams. Now, if you're weaving things together, typically you're taking some sort of string or yarn or thread, and you're forming a fabric or something by putting one over another. So they were busy then making dream catchers to protect their little infants.
Okay, so that's what the women did while the men were out hunting or whatever.
Sure.
And dream catchers are now a symbol of unity among various Native American tribes. So nowadays, of course, this particular object is not just used by the Ojibwe, but it's also used by other tribes in North America as a symbol of unity, as a way to say, hey, we're all part of one group of people, the native peoples of North America and probably Central and South America as well.
Now, beginning in the 1960s, though, non-native people began to use them as mere decorations or knickknacks. So this was back in the 1960s. Things changed. It wasn't just the Native Americans who were using dream catchers. Just these, probably the majority of white people at that point in time thought they were beautiful and thought, ooh, that would be a beautiful decoration. Mere here just means something that's only used as that one thing. So just a decoration, something that is no better than what is following this word. So it's just a decoration. But to the Native Americans, it's actually a spiritual object, something that protects their souls. So it had more importance to the Native Americans. So mere. If you want to emphasize something's size, you could use the word mere. He's a mere 5 years old, and yet he already can read pretty difficult English or pretty difficult Chinese. So mere just can mean, again, it's an adjective. It just means no more than what you see that follows that word. So no more than a decoration, nothing more important than that. Or it could mean something that's really small, like, oh, this is a mere 2 feet tall.
Exactly. That means very small. So, yeah, they saw them just as decorations or knickknacks, ornaments that you can put on the shelf or whatever to give as gifts to somebody. But some Native Americans think, well, these are actually serious objects. They're not supposed to be taken lightly. They are considered to be sacred, and they consider that act to be offensive, an offensive misrepresentation of a sacred object. No, it's not supposed to be taped up on your dorm room wall or something like that, just to say you're really cool because you've got this dream catcher. No, it's actually supposed to be used to filter dreams, and that's what they really think it is. So now let's move on to the final paragraph here. It says, so how can you tell an authentic dream catcher from a mass-produced one? You can bet there are lots of companies, factories in the world somewhere that want to manufacture these things and sell them and make a lot of money and stuff like that. So, yeah, how can you tell one is real and one is just made in a factory in China or Vietnam or someplace like that? You want to know if it's authentic. If something's authentic, it's the real thing. It's not fake.
Yeah, so it's genuine. You could also substitute authentic for the word genuine or real. So how can you tell the difference? Well, a traditional dream catcher uses only natural materials like willow bark and cotton string. So a willow is a type of tree, and the branches and leaves on the tree all kind of bend over. I love willow trees. Now, if you're talking about the bark of any kind of tree, it's kind of like the skin that's on the tree, on the trunk and the branches. That's the bark of a tree. So it's the willow bark. So you have to have the right kind of bark. You can't get the bark off, for example, an oak tree or a maple tree. You have to use bark from a willow tree and cotton string. It can't be yarn or string made out of some other material like polyester.
Right. Cotton is the most commonly used fabric for string. Of course, string is used to tie up zongzi at Duanwujie, Dragon Boat Festival. You use string there. And the string will usually be connected to the hoop in 8 places. Why are we using the magic number 8? Well, that represents Spider-Woman's 8 legs. That makes a lot of sense. Spiders have 8 legs.
And I thought Spider-Woman was an actual woman. Anyway, yeah, Spider-Woman has 8 legs, so that string would connect to the hoop in 8 places. I'm going to go count my earrings. I have Dreamcatcher earrings. I want to see if they're connected in 8 different places. But they're made out of silver, so I know it's not authentic. So here it says, its feathers stand for the breath of life. If you breathe on a feather, it kind of moves. So I can see how that would symbolize breath. And then it may have beads to symbolize spiders. The web weavers themselves. My Dreamcatcher earrings definitely had beads. So if you symbolize something, it means you represent something. You stand for that thing. Sometimes we use red roses to symbolize true love. We use symbolize quite often, don't we? We have a lot of symbols. That's the noun form of the word here in Taiwan.
Exactly, and the verb is to symbolize. As you said, a rose symbolizes love, or a diamond ring symbolizes marriage or whatever. And the beads here symbolize the spiders, who are the web weavers themselves. Now, take some time to appreciate this special and unique Native American craft while respecting its origins. And please have sweet dreams. So yeah, if you do travel to North America and you come across these things, hey, you might pick something up and it might become a great dream catcher. Put it above your baby's cradle and they probably won't have any bad dreams. And we're not kidding, it probably will work. Okay, that brings us to the end of our explanation for today. It's time now to listen to our Chinese teacher.
我们看到第二题前一句 as the Ojibwe nation expanded。随着 Ojibwe 这个原住民的扩张，他们的守护者 Spider-Woman 难以看护每一个人，因此她只是族里的女性编织捕梦网，保护婴儿不做噩梦。所以答案选 D shield。shield 当名词时有盾牌的意思，我 我们知道盾牌可以保护人免于攻击，所以 shield 当作动词有保护的意思。A. arouse 唤醒， B. haunt 是鬼神出没的意思， C. dismiss 是解散的意思。我们答案选 D. shield 保护。接着第三题前一句 beginning in the 1960s， 但是1960年代开始，非原住民开始把捕梦网当作纯粹的装饰品。第三题本句，某些美国原住民认为这种做法是对捕梦网这项什么样的物件 object 做出轻佻冒犯 offensive 的错误呈现 misrepresentation。 在原住民眼中，捕梦网是什么样的物品呢？我们要从4个选项里挑出哪一个来形容 object？ A. sacred 神圣的， B. brutal 残酷的， C. guilty 内疚的， D. random 随机的。答案应该选 A. sacred 神圣的，因为原住民神圣的物品被其他人当作装饰品看待，所以受到冒犯。第4题紧接在后，本题考片语 tell A from B 表示把 A 跟 B 区分开来。Authentic 是真实、道地的意思， Mass produce 是工厂大量生产的。这句话的意思是，你要如何把真正的捕梦网跟大规模量产的捕梦网区别开来呢？第4题答案选 C from。 最后我们一起看到第5题。第5题考动词变化，我们发现整个句子里除了空格以外，并没有主要动词，我们需要一个主要动词。答案选 B take， 构成祈使句，表示建议。作者建议读者花一些时间来欣赏这种特殊独特的美洲原住民工艺，同时尊重他们的文化起源。好的，谢谢大家。以上就是我们对克漏字测验这个题型所做的相关中文讲解。谢谢大家。
That's it for today, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. Please join us again next time for another edition of our program. From all of us here at English Digest, I'm Tom.
I'm Stephanie.
Sweet dreams.
Sweet dreams.